Welcome to The Haunted Beard, everybody. Thank you for joining me. So I have been making my way through George A. Romero's zombie movies, and I have reached sort of the, second trilogy here in this franchise. And today I'm going to be talking about Land of the Dead. This came out in 2005. This one stars Simon Baker, John Leguizamo, Asia Argento, and Dennis Hopper.
Cities are under siege.
The land of the living has become
feeding on human flesh.
the land of the dead.
And now that zombies have taken over the world, the living have built a walled-in city to keep the dead out. But a revolution plans to overthrow the city leadership, and the zombies are turning into more advanced creatures. Like with all the films in this franchise, this is a first-time watch for me, and something that I've been very impressed with is how Romero has continually expanded this world. All of these films have been set, of course, within the sort of zombie apocalypse and that outbreak. And Romero has taken that kind of simple setup and has continually brought new, creative, and fresh ideas to kind of build and expand on this world. And with this being the fourth film that Romero has directed in this series, I've just been impressed that none of them have really felt repetitive yet. And so I think that's really impressive and a testament to his talents and abilities, not only as a director, but also as a writer, to kind of continually explore this zombie apocalypse in new and in fresh ways. Romero here continues along the same trajectory as he was going with in Day of the Dead, only now we are 20 years later. But what he does is he continues along the same lines in having the zombies evolve, and they become more intelligent and almost kind of self-aware. And particularly later on in the film, they are starting to discover tools and how to use them as it comes to just tools and instruments and weapons and things like that. And so I like that he's kind of allowing them to evolve and become more intelligent. With Day of the Dead, he introduced us to the zombie character of Bub, and that was really the first zombie in this series that we kind of got any sort of character development out of, where he had a bit of his own personality. Well, now we have the character of Big Daddy here in Land of the Dead, and he is another zombie where you get some personality. There's some character growth there. And so I like what Romero is doing here with the evolving zombies. As I mentioned, I like that he continues to kind of expand and explore this world, and I think one of the main reasons that make these films each one kind of feel like its own sort of unique thing without becoming too repetitive is because these are more than just simple sort of zombie survival movies, right? So many kind of zombie movies are just the most simplistic, basic setup. It's a zombie apocalypse, and these people, they just got to survive. And so they're running for safety and trying to survive. But Romero is more interested in world building, in creating interesting kind of situations and scenarios that the characters find themselves in. And of course, he's always weaving some sort of commentary and kind of deeper stuff to kind of think about and chew on. And so I like that he doesn't make the zombies really the huge main focus, but he largely focuses on the characters and the story and the world they occupy, while also injecting some, societal themes and things like that. And of course, weaving all the zombies into it as well. And so I just like how he's constructing these stories and how they're all sort of coming together. And again, a very sort of fresh and creative kind of way. What Romero's really going for here in Land of the Dead, in some of the commentary he's talking about here, is kind of the battle between rich and poor, and looking at class systems here, as you've got this huge high-rise tower called Fiddler's Green, where all the extremely rich and wealthy people are living in a very self-contained environment, very safe, very secure. And then the more poor people are living just outside, kind of in the slums and everything like that. And the leader behind it all is Dennis Hopper, in a role that he really fits the bill here quite well. He plays this sort of corrupt, almost kind of crime boss, sort of corporate crime boss kind of character, but he's got his hand in everything. He's all about power and authority and control, and getting the poor people to kind of do his bidding, and getting them to take care of all of his problems while he sits up there in his high-rise apartment, just moving people around like chess pieces kind of thing. Early on in the film, we're introduced to two of our main characters, Riley and Cholo, played by Simon Baker and John Leguizamo. They both work for Dennis Hopper's character. His name is Mr. K, but they go out at night on missions and they gather supplies and, go into convenience stores and different stores and gather things up that are to be distributed amongst the people. Now, as far as the characters go here, I think they're pretty good. I like John Leguizamo's character, even if he's a bit kind of over the top at certain times, but he's pretty good. He at least has kind of some energy and some personality to him, and he provides some good kind of tension and conflict between him and Riley's character. Simon Baker's character, I was a little kind of underwhelmed with. He just doesn't really have much to him. He just kind of underwhelming, kind of bland personality. I could have used a little bit more from him, but I do like the character of Charlie, kind of the sharpshooter guy. He's pretty cool. And I thought Asia Argento's character was pretty good as well. Overall, the characters are pretty good. They're nothing great, but I do think that they serve the film well enough. Now, what ends up happening is John Leguizamo brings Dennis Hopper some supplies, and he's been working for him for years, and he really wants to get a spot to live at the Fiddler's Green Tower so he can, live the high life kind of thing. But of course, Dennis Hopper's not going to let him do that. And turns out Dennis Hopper owes him some money. And so Leguizamo gets the idea that he's going to blackmail him, basically. So he ends up hijacking this gigantic armored truck called Dead Redemption. And he's threatening to shoot missiles at the large tower to kill everybody and blow it up unless Dennis Hopper pays him his money. Only Dennis Hopper, he's not going to pay his money, so he calls in Riley, Simon Baker, to go track Leguizamo down. And that's kind of the main thrust and setup of the film. Only, of course, you've got zombies anywhere and everywhere, and they are learning and they're figuring out how to use things and shoot guns. And so now Big Daddy, the zombie leader, has amassed a zombie army, and they are making their way towards the city to attack and eat and kill everyone. This eventually leads to one of the highlights of the film, one of my favorite scenes, and the characters in the movie kept saying how the zombies will never be able to cross the river, only they end up being able to cross the river. And so you get this really cool scene where they cross this river to get to the city. You got all these zombies coming up out of the water, and just this really cool scene that kind of adds, just some excitement because there's getting ready to be an all-out war. And this is where Romero really kind of drives the commentary home here about rich and poor, as all of the zombies, as they ascend on the Fiddler's Green Tower with all the rich people in it, but they're all carrying these instruments that like blue collar workers would use. They got, shovels and jackhammers and, different types of construction material that they're using. And so it's a very kind of in your face, obvious sort of commentary about all the sort of, poor middle class, blue collar workers ascending on all the rich people and just destroying the place and killing everybody sort of thing. So it's very on the nose, but it's a zombie movie. What do you expect? It's still quite a bit of fun. Like with all these movies, the zombie carnage and the violence and gore here is pretty good stuff, and just a whole lot of fun to watch. The whole climactic sequence here is quite a bit of fun. Seeing the attack of the zombies on the high-rise tower, seeing the war between humans and zombies and everything. It's just good zombie fun, and I had a pretty fun time with it. So overall, this is a pretty good one. It didn't blow me away by any means, but I had a fun time with it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite in the franchise, but again, it's another pretty solid installment that I don't really have too many issues with it. So overall, I'm going to give this one, I'm going to go a solid 7 out of 10 here for Land of the Dead. The way he ends it, though, he tells an interesting enough story and kind of continues to expand on the world enough where I'm very interested and curious to see what the next one is going to do, where Diary of the Dead, which is the next one, where it's going to take things, and kind of see if he's going to continue along that sort of evolving zombies and what direction he's going to take it. So yeah, bring it on. I'm excited for the next one. So those are my thoughts. Like always, hit me up down below. We'd be curious to hear your thoughts on Land of the Dead. Thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.